value proposition. By way of example, Saundra, can you distinguish between a really great one and a poor one? You've worked with so many executives, hundreds upon hundreds. You've seen it all. Is there something you can share, which is a real life sort of case study that says to us, here's what a bad one looks like, and here's what one that Rob really needs to do?
I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was very frustrated because she knew she needed a value proposition. And she was frustrated because she had been in a silo pretty much her whole career. And even though her titles have read in the silo, she had done a lot other work outside of that silo. And now she wanted to get optimized for that operational role, the COO role. And even though she had done all the work, the resume really wasn't spelling it out. So we talked about the value proposition and how to control that. And a bad value proposition will look in generally like, if all my experience and skills and everything I've ever done are pieces of the puzzle, then your value proposition is actually the picture. So if you put those pieces together and it forms a picture, that's a good value proposition. So whenever I see a resume, and this is probably, again, I mean, most of the people we work with have never even had to do a job search before because they've gone throughout their career. They've been, tapped on the shoulder by past bosses and headhunters calling them. And the problem we're facing here is you get to the executive level and you're out of past bosses. Okay. So a lot of the people we work with, they've never had to look for a job before. So they've got these resumes that are starting out with just a dump of skills, experience, and stuff they've done. And it dumps on the table as if someone were to say, okay, can you please fix this? Can you put all this together and you read all of it and you figure it out? Well, that's not going to do anything because, that you're not reporting into people who normally do what you do at this level. So a good value proposition, and a good example, I can use a specific one on the good side, is for another scenario exactly like that, where he was a financial person and he had done a lot of work operationally. He had practically run businesses before. And even though he was a finance person, he was looking to, again, get into that operational role. And so what the coach did with him is really pulled out a common theme throughout his whole career and all the different areas that he's worked in, even outside of finances, was that he's very good at maximizing top and bottom lines in tight margin environments. Okay, so what that did with leading a value proposition with maximizing tight margins maximizing top and bottom lines in tight margin environments, what that did is that caught the attention of a tight margin environment, which actually wasn't even in the same industry, and he did get an operational role. And that, by the way, even works with recruiters. So I started understanding the power of a value proposition as a recruiter, and I would realize that I could spend an hour on the phone talking to somebody, and they're going on and on about everything that they have done, as if they're saying, if I dump all these puzzle pieces on your desk, maybe you can put them together. And I'd go, wow, this is a really great person and done lots of impressive and great things. I hang up the phone and that person leaves my mind. And then I talked to somebody on the phone one time, and this is where it dawned on me. And this is many years ago, so I remember the exact words, but I only talked to him for about 15 minutes, but, he was a finance person again, because I wasn't counting finance headhunters. So he said, So, you know, those scenarios where a company is planning on going public, so they need to prepare to go public, but at the same time, they don't know if that's going to be the route that they're taking, so they want to make sure that they're hedged to be able to appeal to private equity investors. And it was something to that nature. And a light bulb went off in my head because I had just taken a client out to lunch a couple weeks ago. And that client was telling me about, well, Saundra, look, I really don't have any job orders for you. You know, thanks for paying for my lunch and all that. By the way, that used to happen a lot. It doesn't happen anymore. But, you know, we really don't need to hire anybody because, like, maybe we're planning on going public. Maybe we're not. We might want to hedge ourselves with private equity. I mean, we don't even know yet. Light bulb. And I called up that client and I said, boy, do I have somebody you need to talk to. You remember how you told me that you were planning on doing this? Why don't you guys just have lunch? You know, let him pay this time. Okay, go have lunch. And lo and behold, they ended up hiring him. Now, I actually called 2 other clients because we had similar conversations with parts of that. And I called 2 other clients, and I, as the headhunter, got 2 extra job orders out of it. And so, total of 3. I placed a client. I placed a candidate with a client that didn't even have a job, and I realized the power of using a value proposition in my head, how it stuck in my head, and how it plugs in to later. So if you see the difference between dumping your skills and experience on somebody and expecting them to see it. And by the way, I actually call that now the executive mic drop, okay, where they dissertate everything they've ever done, drop their mic, and expect the crowd to roar. And the difference being using the problem that you solve to help make the connections in the brain in networking scenarios where there's not even an actual job. Because the real reason that 85% of professionals at 200K and above are going to get their next job through network is because most of the jobs don't even make it to posting, because they don't start out as open jobs. They start out as needs or quandaries or problems, and they start picking people's brains. I could probably think of 14 more if I drilled down, but I hope that helps.
I believe it does.